Here is a nice picture I drew some time ago for King of Lightning of our good friend Sanji. He is of course one of the characters featured in this chapter, so hopefully you'll like. If you do, remember to follow me on the social networks. One Piece, Chapter 140, The Castle of Snow.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the excellent and frigid tale of One Piece. You see how I try to work in that cold stuff over there? That's genius. Real genius. Not really, but anyway. Our last chapter left us with, us finding out about Tony Chopper, and I'm just going to refer to him as Chopper from here on out because it's getting annoying saying Tony Chopper. So I'm hoping that that's just kind of the acceptable shortened version of him. But finding out from Dr. Kureha, what his deal was, that he ate the human fruit, and then kind of seeing him, transform and how he can basically just, he's a reindeer that walks on two legs, he talks, he's got a blue nose, so he's different to begin with. But in this particular world, I don't find it that odd. But he's able to, it seems like it will just, kind of hulk himself up, and just create this giant body, to obviously exert his will upon whatever he wants to do. So that's how, that's how the chapter left off. That's how this one begins. And this one takes place primarily, well, actually, the entire chapter takes place in the castle at the top of the mountain, Wapol's old castle that he's on his way to come reclaim. So it starts out, and then we have Luffy and Sanji, have sat down, and they're actually talking with Dr. Kureha. And Luffy is like, "Hey, join us." And she's like, "You're crazy. I'm gonna become a pirate. I'm only in my 130s." She still is. It's kind of her inside joke thing. She still thinks she's like this young, vibrant woman. And and Luffy's like, "Yeah, well, who cares if you want to be a pirate or not? Just join us. Come on an adventure, old lady." And she's like, so it's kind of funny how they butt heads and how Luffy's just so, forward with what he says, just come on, join us. Don't be an old lady, So, or just come on and join us, old lady, come on this adventure. So she, she's obviously denying him that she doesn't want to. And then all of a sudden they run into and they run across Chopper again. And they both start chasing after him, "Oh, reindeer, come here, reindeer." And we see, and he's running, it's so funny because then his expression gets all big and he gets like the sharp teeth, kind of like Oda does with all of his characters when they're like just like either freaking out or enraged or what have you, and he's just running for his life. So and then Sanji's like, "Oh, come on, whip up some reindeer stew to help Nami get better real quick. It'll taste great, And then Dr. Kureha starts chasing them with a butcher knife, And it's funny because they're just like, "What the hell? The old lady's chasing us with a butcher knife. She's crazy." So Chopper winds up ducking into getting out of their peg, getting around the corner and ducking into Nami's room, and Sanji and Luffy are still kind of running around like something out of Looney Tunes, getting chased around the castle by Dr. Kureha. We wind up seeing, Nami starts trying to talk to Chopper and just in general, just asking him, just normal questions, like that you would ask. But he's real defensive, you can tell, and we wind up finding out towards the end of the chapter why, some of that is. But but she says, for instance, have you been the one that's been taking care of me? Thank you, because what happens is she goes, the door is open and there's cold air blowing in, snow or what have you, to her room, and she's gonna get up and go close it. And he says, no, I'll take care of it. You're not supposed to get up. You still need to rest. And he gives him, gives her the whole 9 yards and the doctor, treatment of what she has to do and the kestia that she still has the infection, the bacteria in her system. But the bottom line is, she says, well, thank you have you been the one that's been taking care of me? And he like freaks out and he's like, well, does it look like I take care of a human? So we can see he's real ultra super sensitive about this. And he, for some reason though, because he even peeked his head in when he overheard, Luffy trying to recruit Dr. Kureha, and he's like, pirates, I like pirates. So you can tell he's got some interest in pirates. So he asks her something about do you have a flag? And she says, well, yeah, back on our ship. And she says, would you like to come with us? Why would I like to come with you? A reindeer can't even be with humans. So again, it's just that real defensive nature. So we wind up finding out, though, in just a little bit why some of that has happened. So Luffy and Sanji wind up, they're noticing that the castle itself has a bunch of doors that are frozen over, and that other than the rooms that are being used, it's like there's snow in there, it's cold as hell. They're like, what the hell's going on, they wind up coming back across and running into and finding, you know, Chopper again, and Chopper starts running for his life again, and like I said, this sort of Looney Tunes like, you know, or like a Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote type deal is ensuing, you know, for the majority of the chapter. It's all based on movement and them kind of running around the castle. They wind up going, and Dr. Kureha then goes and talks with Nami a little bit, and she's like, oh yeah, you know, and this is where she sits down and explains to Nami about his background, his past. You know, she says, you know, she has this brief exchange with Nami about, hey, are you trying to seduce my reindeer? And she's like, oh, okay, why? Is it a problem if I do? And she goes, no, do whatever you want. But, you know, he's not going to want to talk with you or join you. He's got this wound in his heart that can't be healed by any medicine. So she explains that when he was little, before he ate the human fruit, when he was born, he had the blue nose and he was an outcast. It's kind of like a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer tale, you know, for those of you that know the you know, the Christmas tale. And it really is very similar in that sense. He was rejected, you know, from the herd because of his blue nose. He was made to walk even as an infant, you know, far behind the herd because he was different. And it's all about whether it's kind of a reference to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, or it's just a reference to just, you know, bullying and making people outcast because they look or act or feel or talk different. You know, ultimately it's bullshit. It's, you know, but it is human nature, and that is how things are, at least that I've seen growing up. You know, very much so. People are segregated based on their job, their look, their appearance, their talk, their rank, whatever it may be. You know, and it really is nonsensical, but you know, that's how it is, unfortunately. So to me, that's kind of what I drew from this. So he wound up going and eating the human fruit, and then went and he wanted to, you know, go and join up with the humans, you know, live in their settlement. But they rejected him as a monster because, of course, you know, he's got this blue nose, he's a reindeer that talks and walks on two legs, and, you know, has this big hulking massive body, right? So you can see them, you know, in this kind of flashback sort of thing, like shooting at him and get out of here, monster, you know. So he's basically been called this monster his whole life, and he's been he's been shunned and outcast by humans and reindeer alike. So he hasn't been able to find his groove, his niche, his people. You know what I mean? His people to identify with, hang out with, like family, friends type thing, in either race, in reindeers, I guess, or you know, or humans. So we find out about that. We then go back to the whole Luffy and Sanji thing, and Luffy and Sanji, you know, wind up, they lost Chopper. They can't find him at the time, or at the moment, but they wind up seeing this huge main door open to the place. And they go, that's why, we got to go close that. And as they go to close it, Chopper appears. He goes, no, don't close that, you know, and you're thinking, what's the deal with that? And they're going to go do it anyway, just because that's what they do, you know, especially Luffy just does what the hell he wants. And Chopper goes and he muscles up, man, and just hulks up and gets big and tears the railing off and kind of goes to come after him. And it's real comical because he's able to stop them, but then they go and they see that the reason he didn't want him to close the door is because there's snowbirds. There's a nest of snowbirds that are up there. And anybody who knows anything about birds is that, you know, the mother will not come back and feed the baby birds if you touch or move the nest, if it's disturbed in any way by, you know, human hands or any other. So that's why they're leaving the door open. If they close the door, the nest will obviously fall, and all the baby birds will wind up dying. And so that's why they're leaving it open and making the whole castle turn into an ice palace. So, but it's kind of comical because Sanji and Luffy go and they see Chopper, of course, you know, hulk up and turn into this big beast-like thing, you know. And they both make mention of it. Oh, he's this freak. He's this monster. And then Luffy in the next page is like, what an interesting guy. Maybe he wants to join us. So then they're chasing after him, right? And they're like, and Luffy's like, come back, monster. I want you to join us. And I just thought it was real comical to begin with. The way it was portrayed, it was just real funny. So as Chopper's going and running away from them over there, we go and we see outside, climbing up the side of the mountain with his little rhinoceros and his group in tow, we assume is Wapol. And Wapol is, you know, come on, hurry up, you know, we're going to get back to my castle, you know, that sort of deal. And we then chapter ends right after that. It winds up flashing back inside the castle, and we see Chopper, and I'm assuming just because he's a reindeer, you know, has a good nose for things, like many animals do. He goes and he's like, kind of sniffs, and he's like, I know that smell. Wapol's back, right? So, or Wapol's returning, or Wapol's on his way back, whatever he says exactly. So that's kind of how things go. The shit hits the fan, or is going to hit the fan very shortly, probably in the next chapter or two. So, which is kind of cool because Wapol's one of those guys you like to see him get just slapped around a little bit, you know. So, my chapter question for you is, I touched on it, you know, briefly, but as far as it goes with, you know, with some of the different things that Oda does. and brings. Do you agree with me with what I said about you know, even though it's kind of the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer tale, it really is a tale of not fitting in and not being accepted by, you know, his own people, his own race, what have you, but then not being accepted by the one that you try to turn into. And is that not a parallel for humans as we are today? You know, you don't fit in with a particular crowd or a group, so then you try to take up some of the interests of, or maybe make a friend that has an interest in that type of group, but then still not accepted because you don't look the part, you don't act the part, you don't. So, you know, so I guess my chapter question is how many of you, because we have people from all around the world here, and I know how it is here in the States, but you know, how has it been for you in your life, your existence so far, whether you're 12, 15, 22, doesn't matter, you know, whether you're married, single, gay, straight, lesbian, black, whatever, you know, I mean, I guess that kind of covers a bunch of ones that sometimes I throw blue in there, you know, but I don't think Smurfs are real. But my point is that how have you come across and dealt with some of those things, or have you seen a lot of those things? You know, do you agree with what I'm saying? Or, you know, do you think that it's just, you know, kind of a load of shit and then I'm looking into things too much? So remember to leave your answers to that sort of long roundabout question in the comments down below, brothers and sisters. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you think that I deserve it. And, of course, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
As always, thanks for watching, brothers and sisters. And remember, join the Nerd Nation. It's the right thing to do. Trust me. Tell them Jim sent you.